again, and it's Christmas morning because we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. We had practice today, and it was glorious. Absolutely 1,000% positively glorious. Nothing was better today, this week, this month, than LSU football being back on the Ponderosa. We were out there today. I will let you know everything that I saw, give you my personal opinions. If you don't like them, sorry, I'm going to tell you what I believe that I saw. We have a pretty good track record of these practice reports. Got to go through a lot of notes. I said last night, like an idiot, that we would do our Alabama deep dive tonight. We're not going to get to it. So we'll kick that back another week. We'll continue to go around your SEC and breaking down every single team that LSU has on their schedule. Tonight, we just have so much that we have to get to about day one of practice. I would highly suggest from here and really until it's closure, that you hop on the forum because, and I say this and people think I'm crazy and nuts, whatever, it's fine. You would have known before 12 p.m. Central Standard Time that Sage Ryan got moved back to corner. As an example, if you were on the forum, we will talk about that. So many changes to this roster that we have to get to. Number changes, guys in new positions. Savion Jones slimming down. Is he going to give us some of the production that we saw from him in 2022? I don't know, but it looks like he's definitely slimmed down from a season ago. That is very good for him. What did they do along the defensive front? How did Harold Perkins look? So many questions that we are going to answer from day one at practice. So I'm very, very excited to get into it with you here tonight. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share. Where are you listening from tonight? We'll get to as many of them as we can. Mark Allen is in the 903, but the 318 is checking in. Glad to have you here with us tonight, sir. Tyler Townsend says, let's go football. Or finally, football is here. That it is. I don't even know. Is there even a preseason game on right now? I don't even know. I'm so fired up for LSU's practice today. I don't even know. I have no clue. Brandon Richardson says, be rich from the 505. I think he might mean 504. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah. Jules in the 318. See, man, what did I tell you about the 318? Here comes Veronica right behind her. 318-31 great. Yes, indeed. Good to have you all in here. Stephen Perilous is La Rose, Louisiana, obviously in the 985. Marcus Stewart live in Dallas, but from the 318, 31 great. I'm telling you, man, I'm an adopted son of the 318. An adopted son. So, look, we got a lot that we need to get into here tonight. This is the order of how we're going to do things. Number one, we are going to talk about some of the number changes that LSU has had on this roster because it's very significant. I normally would let you fend for yourselves in something like that. Hey, man, go to the roster, figure it out yourself. But, guys, there were 14 changes on this roster, number changes, even some position changes. It's like BK's playing college football 25, if you ask me. But nevertheless, we're going to go through them. When we get out of the break, we're going to come back and we're going to run through practice. I'm going to give you my opinions, and then I'm opening the entire show to your questions. Thoughts, questions, concerns, you can get to them then. Doesn't mean I don't want you chit-chatting in the chat here. If you have questions, the team behind us, or the team with us, is going to be pulling your questions from all night long. from all night long. So if you have questions, you can already fire them in there. We're going to get to as many of them tonight as we can. Some pundits said that tonight's show was going to only be an hour. They lied. We got so much that we have to get into. So practice, what happened, my opinions on the day, and then your questions. So I know it's only 4 topics, but I promise you there's lots and lots and lots to get to. Lots and lots and lots to get to. He says, no, the 505, New Mexico, formerly from the 318, 504, and 225. My bad, Brandon. My bad. He sends a $5 super chat in here as well, too. He says, how was the defense on day 1? So we're going to get into this. Better. Would I say much better? No. Would I say that they got more competitive? Yes. I would tell you that the theme of the day was competitiveness. And I think from everybody. Well, we'll get into that. But if you're asking me right now, it was highly competitive. I got asked, Harry Wilson, that sometimes in the chat hit me up earlier and asked, Blake, some people are saying it was the most competitive practice that they've ever had under Brian Kelly. That shit's just not true. That shit is not remotely close to being true. We got to remember Jaden Daniels. Guys, I told you this live on this show. Like day 1, day 2 of practice, I'm putting $100 on Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman. I was not joking. I'm pretty sure I even showed most of you while we were placing the bet, and I know some of you clearly knew that we did. All I am saying is, legitimately, today was a high-intensity, high-competitive day. Not the biggest of BK's tenure, in my opinion. I think that would have been in 22. Pads had not come on yet. And when them things start thudding, pause, then you'll start getting into that. I'm not going to say it's the most competitive day of guys when they're in shells and helmets. Not going to do that. Not going to do that at all. I say shells, spider pads, regardless. They were hitting today, though. They were hitting a little bit today. And by the way, let me just say this too. Yeah, I did, Ricky. Boy, we got some trolls up in here. It's funny. You decline somebody a media opportunity. They send their trolls after you. Yeah, we did. We could pull the footage for you if you'd like. But you can come in here and troll anyway. Every time you come in here, it just gives us more money. We get paid. So regardless, I win in any stance. Nick Thomas says, well, first question is, have you improved in NCAA? Well, Nick, I'm undefeated publicly to the nation. Nick, I'm 1-0 to the nation. I traveled. I went on an away game in New York City and won on the in prime stage on a team that I don't care for. 109,000 people watched that stream too, I might add. You got to love it. Cade says, this guy, oh, man. Here we go. You can think I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant. It is what it is. Boy, the trolls have been out ever since that shit has happened. Bottom line is, when you deny somebody in media because they're constantly going after your head, and then there's been more trolls in this YouTube chat than ever before. I'm going to stop getting to the chat. I'm going to turn that son of a bitch off. Doesn't bother me. Ulysses says, Rob, I've never, yeah. But Rob says 318 used to be really great. It used to have the 337 in it. All right. I think that's our cue to get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups on social media. If you're on Facebook, share to all of those Tiger groups. I know there's like a bajillion of them. Do us a favor, like, share all in there. Veronica, always in there sharing our stuff. Veronica, we're going to need to send you some LSU stuff here if you keep doing that. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, coming up so close to that 8,000 mark on YouTube. Help us get there. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like 42% of you that watch still aren't subscribed. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Bryce with a question before we get rolling says, are we actually getting a new logo? I don't know about that. I know that our good friends over the Athletic Collection, look, they posted that. They're really like big in all of that. But yeah. And yes, I did see the kickoff. I just saw it now on kickoff. Someone just asked. Yes, I saw the new kickoff rules in the NFL. It's stupid. It's stupid. The new NFL kickoff rules are ignorant. I hate everything about them. Every single thing that is about them, I hate. But yeah, the guys over the Athletic Collection do a very, very good job. Ask him. Ask Brent. I'm unclear. I don't know. I don't think that it'll be that significant. Jay, says, you the man, Blake. Screw the haters. Probably Bama. Here's the crazy thing, man. I do the national show, Ruffino and Joe show. Other fan bases love me. It's my own. The people that cover this, that are on this beat that think that shit's competitive. I'm just here to have fun, do what I love to do. It's you that's a sour piece of shit. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Let's pay some bills. We'll be right back. Let's talk about LSU football practice day one. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. We're back.
All right. Let's get this thing rolling. So before we even get on the field, every time that we go to practice, we're, especially on day one, you're giving your credential, you're giving a roster. And I was sitting there just like, okay, well, let's see where some of these guys are weighing in. Did guys gain weight? Did guys lose weight? And I get it number 0. And I noticed that we have a very big change and 2 players that will be wearing number 0 this year, that being Perishan and Xavion Thomas, the DN and the wide receiver. We're definitely going to be talking about Xavion Thomas tonight in this show. So anytime you see number 0 catching a pass, it's going to be Xavion Thomas. Didn't have to go far for more guys to have number changes because Ashton Stamps goes from number 26 to number 1. Jordan Gilbert goes, I think it was number 24 in preseason or spring. He moves to number 2. Chris Hilton and Greg Penn both are going to be wearing number 3. I am going to probably let them announce why they changed number 3. I have heard through some of the grapevines, though, that they changed it because of potential. I'm just going to let them announce it. I have heard they've done it for a very good reason. Let them announce it in their due time. Good on them. So there are some number changes for key guys in today or on today's roster, and it will be there for the remainder of the year. So I don't want to have to keep going through it. I normally don't go through number changes, freshmen, all that. I don't think it's my job to really do that for you, but we did that because it was so significant. So this is probably the only time I'm going to mention it. Just try to remember, because I know it's going to be difficult for me too. Jelani Watkins, number 17. Remember the name, and remember the name very, very quickly, because Jelani Watkins, who's now number 17, I think he was 83 that when they put him on the roster, 17 is going to get a lot of action this camp. A lot of action. They're going to see what they can do with him. The speedster from Texas had a massive day. The reason it's not being, talked about from all the media, in my opinion, there were a couple passes that were underthrown to him, which that's going to be a timing thing with the quarterbacks and Jelani Watkins. But Jelani Watkins, you could have renamed him to 7-Eleven today because he was always open. John Emery, number 22. It's weird seeing John Emery in any other number than being in number 4. And I will admit, I did not expect at all the action that we would get from John Emery today. I thought that he would probably be at the end of fall camp if we were lucky. John Emery got some run today. We're definitely going to be talking about him when we break stuff down. Caught 3 passes today. And I'm not going to say he looked like old John Emery, but if you didn't know that he tore his ACL and you didn't know that, or could see that big-ass brace on his knee, you would be like, all right, there goes John Emery. If he's available, he plays a big deal in your depth, and I feel a lot better that he's healthy and back. So we'll talk about that. Zy Alexander goes to number 14 from he was number 24 last year. Jawan Johnson. So Jawan Johnson's at number 24. I had a conniption fit this week. I had a conniption fit because they put him at number 5. I'm glad that he's there. Jawan Johnson had a big pick today. The position that they have him in, I thought Jawan Johnson would be a corner. They have him with the safeties. That being said, I don't know if there's any kind of cross-training with him. Jawan Johnson looked good. We'll talk about him too. Some newcomers. JVR Suggs was number 31. Had an interesting day. CJ Jackson stood out to me in the beginning. Number 89, the freshman. CJ Jackson was not somebody that we talked about a lot in recruiting. My man did not look bad. Length, speed, burst, agility looked pretty good. And I know you don't want to I know you probably don't care about special teams, but the last thing in all this that is the biggest standout on this roster is Blake Oschendorf, the punter. And that's probably a great way to segue into this, because when we got out to practice, special teams was the first thing that we saw. LSU went through special teams to start off the day, which they normally do when they hit the field. The first interesting thing that caught my eye today was that I did not fully anticipate, nor was it necessarily reported, that Javian Toviano was going to be back at practice. I thought he had been indefinitely suspended, but as Brian Kelly announced today, he has been reinstated from the university and will be fighting through some legal stuff, but he is back. We'll work him back into some things, and he'll be good to go. With that being said, I want to throw this out there. As we said when the Javian Toviano thing happened, you always have to go innocent until proven guilty. Guys, I mean, the only way that he's reinstated into the university is if some shit happened that everybody's like, oh, well, maybe we, arrested this kid too soon. Things get dropped down to a misdemeanor. I have no idea what's going on with that, nor if the school reinstated him and he is back at practice, which he was going through special teams drills to start off the day. We're just going to have to, I guess, monitor that situation. But he was the first thing that popped off to me because he was at a gunner. They were punting and he was at the gunner. And I'm like, well, there goes him not being at practice today. So Javian Toviano. The second thing, Blake Oschendorf, the punter. There is a massive gap, in my humble opinion, between Oschendorf and everybody else. Like everybody else. It is going to be, in my opinion, the least talked about portal guy that we have. But Blake Oschendorf, the punter from Louisiana Tech, guys, the first punt that we saw of the day of him went 49 yards in the air. 49 yards and had unbelievable hang time. So much so that some of the coaches that were down by the returners, one of them, a coordinator, said, and I quote, "God damn." And they were joking that he might be one of the best defensive weapons that they have if he can pin people deep. That is a massive thing for you to have if you're going to have a guy that's going to be punting between 47 to 50 yards, and the dude was literally booting that thing. Booting that thing. I feel like when I talk about this and I talk about special teams that none of you care. Now, if you do care, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up in the chat because I think that this is going to be one of the more bigger deals going into the season. At punt return. So I think we all anticipated that Xavier Thomas, who was an electric guy at Mississippi State for 2 years in punt and kick returns, that the vast majority of what people thought that he was coming in here for was to do solely that. Well, he had other plans for him because he's starting to go off at receiver. We'll get to that in a minute. But he was the number one guy that was returning punts and kicks. You know who wasn't back there that I noticed? Aaron Anderson. At least not that I saw. That was interesting to me. And I don't know if they've given up on Aaron Anderson in that role. I don't know that. But, guys, but Xavier Thomas has shown not only to us, but he's shown everybody in the country, especially in the SEC, that the dude is very electric returning punts. You have had an issue with that. You thought that you solved it with Aaron Anderson a year ago. You clearly didn't. Well, if something happens with Xavier Thomas and you're not returning punts, you're not returning kicks at a higher rate, then that's something that's going on with the staff because that guy has been electric. He was your first team punt/kick returner that we saw today. Secondly, a guy we're going to need to get very accustomed to very quickly, at least in my opinion. God forbid this young man stays healthy. I want him to stay healthy. Knock on wood that he does. The second punt return, kick return guy that we saw was Jelani Watkins. The kid that ran a 10.27 100-meter dash, I think qualified for the Olympics in 18U, to me, was all over the place. Guys, I know that he's 165 pounds. It doesn't matter. I will remind you, Devonta Smith won a Heisman when he was 165 pounds. When he was at A-Meet, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, my mom taught him or had him for a class at A-Meet. The kid was, I've known the kid since he was in the 7th grade. Since the 7th grade. That kid was 105 pounds in the 7th grade and never got above 165. When you can run the way that Jelani Watkins runs, I do fear for him on a kick return, though, because you get somebody running down there full speed, God forbid. I mean, he is 165. But if he gets a head of steam, guys, you're not going to catch him. I think it would be a very interesting race between him and Chris. Now, I have been told that has already happened and that Chris, because he's been in the system, like Chris got him once. That's the only thing that I had heard. Today, Jelani Watkins, in my humble opinion, would have been the guy that we talk about more if some of the catches or some of the times that he had attempts to have catches were vastly underthrown. That's going to be fixed. That's a timing thing with him and the quarterbacks. It's the first real time that they're throwing to him in practice. He was wide ass open like his name's 7-Eleven. He ran an inside fade route. He ran an in route and then another go route. He was wide open all 3 times, and 2 of them were interception because he was underthrown. That kid has world-class speed. I don't know if that's going to translate all the way into football. What I do know is this class that you got, like this recruiting class, guys, I know that it was like, 7th, 8th, or 9th, whatever it was. I don't give a shit what they tell you. What they did get, elite speed. They got faster, and it shows up everywhere. So those were the 2 guys returning punts. So instantly they go into a team period. A very, how do I want to say this? A very pacey team period. Like no matter what, they're going to move the ball. It's not like they needed Brian Kelly's help in moving the football down the field because they did that anyway. But they go into a team period. Let's run through that very quickly too. They opened up the day with a inside route to C.J. Daniels that goes for 12 yards. Caleb Jackson runs inside zone for 12 yards before he's touched, and they down the ball after he gets past the first down marker. An in route by Kyron Lacey goes for 15 on Ashton Stamps, but then LSU runs a screen. So they're moving the ball right down the field. This was the first big play of the day by Ashton Stamps. They run an inside screen to Chris Hilton. And before the ball could get to Chris Hilton, Ashton Stamps was there. Chris catches it, a ridiculous catch. He's got to go one arm, catch, and then tuck, and then Ashton Stamps is literally right there to make the tackle. Fantastic play by Ashton Stamps. The thing with Ashton, I will say, and this went through all throughout the day, very high level play, very high leverage play he would make, like on this screen route. Very next one, he would get burned. And so I look at that and say, man, this kid's showing improvement. Brian Kelly's words today, though, when he was asked about PJ Woodland and some of these young guys, I personally thought it was the answer of the day when he's like, guys, if we get that consistency, if we can get some of the consistency that we're seeing on the defensive side of the football, we're going to be freaking good. And that's what he was saying today when he met with the media. 1,000% agree with his analysis. I thought he was spot on with exactly what he said. But the fourth play in, you have a screen to Chris Hilton that's getting blown up in the backfield by a corner that seemed at time last year very timid at times. He's a freshman. He's going to grow. He did right there. Caleb Jackson has a run for 7. Xavion Thomas comes in for Chris Hilton, and then Shelton Sampson comes in for C.J. Daniels. Stop right there. What was that to me? What was the big deal with getting Daniels out and Shelton Sampson in? Shelton Sampson's in this rotation like that? Well, we found out why, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Xavion Thomas comes in for Chris Hilton. Based off the personnel that they ran, Chris came out, Xavion came in. It was something we talked about last, Tuesday? Actually, it was Tuesday when we talked about the receivers. And based off the personnel, I think that's going to be interchangeable in and of itself in any given moment. But Xavion Thomas catches his first pass on the 6th play of the drive, goes for 13 yards, and then Mac Markway on an out route from Garrett Nussmeier has a TD. So you had a lot of rotation in with the receivers. The offensive line stayed the same. The quarterback stayed the same. Caleb Jackson was still in there. And Caden Durham getting some reps in the very beginning. Brian Kelly alluding to that we're going to keep Josh Williams upright, and we are not going to let him get banged up during this camp. We know that what we're going to get from him, you're not going to see him a lot this camp. Thank you so much. Josh knows his role. He knows to stay ready. You don't have to worry about him. The same team period, the second team comes out. Ricky Collins comes out as your second team quarterback. No surprise there, but him and A.J. Swan would split it. But the first quarterback that came out with the second team was Ricky Collins. Of that first play, Ricky has no gain. He was going to get sacked. He eludes it, but he gets touched by one hand. He would have never been down on that, but they mark it down as no gain. Next play on a in route. He hits Kamarian Pimpton for 11. Jelani Watkins on a quick slant for 4 yards. Josh Williams in the flat for 19. Shelton Sampson goes up for one hand. This one from Ricky Collins for 20 yards. Let's stop right there. Ricky, I thought today, threw the ball better than we've ever seen him. And that is a massive upgrade in the development. I thought Ricky had struggles. We've talked about Ricky Collins a lot. Like, my issues have always been he comes here, goes up, and then releases it. Today he was more slingshotty. What do I mean? Very much here. Load, throw, load, throw. When he had to make deep, like bigger and deep throws, he would go back to his old ways, cock down, go up, fire. He threw the ball much better today, and the pass that he had to Shelton Sampson down the sideline, the first one, not the touchdown, the first one into double coverage over P.J. Woodland was a dime that's top of the line, slim waist, cute face with a big behind, a dime. I'm talking about Buster Rhymes' dime. Shelton Sampson coming down with it, making a big play. When the ball was in the air, so help me God, I thought to myself, man, you know what? This is the time that Shelton Sampson can prove if he's a player. Because when he came down with the football, I literally was walking down the sideline, looked at Mike Scarborough and said, that's what a 5-star wide receiver looks like. Now is he developing? Big time catch along the sideline. And then he would replicate that on the very next play from A.J. Swan for a touchdown, which he would get banged up, kind of limp, kind of gimpy. Brique said he had a head injury. They didn't want to risk it on day one. He went and checked out. Yeah, he's fine, whatever. So they didn't risk it for him. Shelton Sampson stepped up in the big way in the first team period that we saw of him. The last play, here's another note. Something that was interesting was JVR Suggs batting down a pass. They rotated a lot with their interior defensive tackles all day. They're going to try to find who can play and who can play now. That goes for Paez, that goes for Guillory, that goes for Suggs, that goes for everybody. The JVR Suggs batted down pass is very interesting, and hopefully we see more during camp. Let me explain. Did you know dude had like 14 batted down passes the last 2 years at Grand Valley State? So when he knows like he is not getting to the quarterback, guys, that is ridiculous for a defensive lineman. Utterly ridiculous. And he did today and saw the drive, which should have been a touchdown with Shelton Sampson, but they gave him one more play in the red zone. And there we went. So, look, first period for me, first team period, vastly won by the offense. As the day would go on, and we could go to the other team period, I'm not going to necessarily bore you with the second one. I can, but it was a lot of the same stuff in a way. The first play, Mason Taylor runs a corner route for 20 yards. Xavion Thomas is wide open for a TD. Greg Penn makes a tackle on Landon Ibieta, who subbed in, for no gain. John Emery has a catch for no gain. Colin Hurley then comes in for Garrett Nussmeier. Perkins throws a pick, or Hurley throws a pick to Perkins. He throws a pick to Juwan Johnson and BB Causey. So when Hurley came in there, is when the defense stood up. But then they got momentum. We'll get to the last team period in just a minute. The starting rotation for you defensively went like this. You had Deshaun Womack, Jacobian Guillory, Gio Paez, and Savion Jones in that order from left to right as your defensive line. Perkins and Penn were in the middle. Ashton Stamps was one boundary corner, and Sage Ryan was another boundary. Let me stop at Sage Ryan for just a moment. This morning on the forum, about 7:30 this morning, or 8 this morning, I forget what time, but it was either 7:30 or 8:30 or in between that time frame. I put on our message board, ayssnetwork.com/forum. You need to go over there if you haven't subscribed already. That I had heard this morning that Sage Ryan had moved back to corner. BK said that they are cross-training with him. I don't believe that that's true necessarily, because I think he's going to wind up staying at corner because you need the experience. Guys, you heard the first team drive. And then when Colin Hurley comes in, the first team got 3 picks. I think you do need his experience out there. I'm just going to say it. I'm not saying that Sage Ryan is going to come in here and be an all SEC type of corner, but it's very obvious that experience is lacking in playing time when it comes to the boundary. Now, Ashton Stamps did fairly good, and P.J. Woodland did fairly good. But as BK said in the open today, P.J. Woodland did have, and we'll talk about 7-on-7 in just a moment, and the other team period. P.J. Woodland had a really good batted down pass, got his head around, broke a pass up, looked really good doing it. Very next play, Garrett Nussmeier goes to Kyron Lacey in the back of the end zone, bang, touchdown. I mean, 1 step open, 2 steps back. But Nussmeier definitely went after Stamps. Did not remotely, nobody today remotely threw in the general direction of Sage Ryan. I think a lot of that's got to do with Sage Ryan did not have a bad day at all. Like at all. And I'm going to give him that. At all. So a really good day for him. Your 3 safeties. Yes, 3 safeties. If you don't remember, Blake Baker likes to use this star position where he gets a bigger body that can tackle at safety down on the line of scrimmage. But your free safety was Jordan Gilbert. Your strong safety was Jordan Allen. And your star position was Major Burns. Your second team ran out as Gabe Relaford at one end. You had Kimo Macanole in the interior, along with Sean Washington and Paris Shand as the other defensive end. Corner with the second team at boundary, you had P.J. Woodland and whoever they could throw out there to help. I don't really know who. I mean, throw somebody out there, really? I mean, because they were rotating that fourth boundary DB like it was underwear. Everybody saw action, literally. I don't know what you want me to tell you at the other boundary, but everybody was running there. Even some of the first team guys were getting reps with the 2s. Deshaun Spears was your free safety. Colin Jackson was your strong safety. And Juwan Johnson was your strong safety for that. Let's stop right here. Midway through the practice, I thought that offense stepped up. I thought that even through drill work, some of the defensive stuff that I saw was a little lackluster midway through. Around this time, something very interesting happened because Brian Kelly got the entire team up because either they didn't have a break well or I don't really know what happened, but BK got the entire team up, coaches included, and started ripping ass, pause, but getting on everybody's ass, telling the coaches, who tells you that we can break or that you can go somewhere else before we get a break. We are a family. We are a team. And bleepity bleep bleep bleep, quote unquote, bleepity bleep bleep bleep. Most of those words started with F, but we're going to be a team and we're going to be a family. And if you don't like it, basically get your ass out. From that point on, some very interesting things happened. Defense started picking it up a little bit. And I think that you had one of your more competitive practices from this point on. You go into team period. We ran through the first part, Mason Taylor corner for a touchdown, no gain, pin, stuff like that. But you come into 7-on-7. The first play, Garrett Nussmeier throws a pick to Shelton Sampson. To Ashton Stamp, on Mason Taylor. Shit started getting real in that DB room versus those wide receivers. Stamps gets a pick. Aaron Anderson in with the first team goes for 11 on a hitch route. Kyron Lacey in the back of the end zone, double coverage, bang, touchdown. We got to get to him in just a moment. Collins goes to Tredez Green. So second team comes in. Tredez Green mosses two defenders on a wheel route along the sidelines and comes down with it. Stop. Blake, you just said that shit got more competitive. Shit did get more competitive. Those DBs were draped over both receivers. You got Ashton Stamps, they got a pick. You got Kyron Lacey in the back of the end zone, who is got a DB literally tackling him pretty much while he's going to the ground, touchdown. You have Tredez Green rising up with in between two guys, but in between two guys coming up with a catch and coming down with it. The competitiveness and the coverage was fine. I think that at receiver, tight end, whatever in the Rudy Poo, you just had dudes making plays. And you know what, man? I can live with it. I can live with that. 1 bajillion% can live with, hey, man, if Tredez Green, who is one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen on a football field in my life, at 6'8", is going to go up and moss anybody that's there, I don't know what to say. It's exactly what he did. The receivers kind of had some Rudy Poo moments after that. First and second team, Caden Durham had a drop. Then you had a Xavion Thomas drop. Then you had a Xavion Thomas out route or corner route for a touchdown. So it was what it was. But 7-on-7 got very interesting. There was a lot of tight coverage and a lot of really good things happened there. All right. This is how the practice ended in the last team period. I'll get to opinion, your thoughts, fire in your questions now. But the last team period started off like this. Stamps has a PBU. Fade route to Kyron Lacey. Stamps gets his head around, bats the ball down. Beautiful. Beautiful. But then all of a sudden, something very interesting happened. The running game and team periods got involved. And we have been talking about this offensive line. We need to see this continue to progress. When the pads come on, guys, they're running it right down their throat. And it happened all day. It literally happened all day. I don't know if it's just that you have a really good offensive line. I don't know if it's that your interior D-line or your D-line in general just had a bad day. I don't know. What I do know is they come into that last team period and whatever they wanted happened. They want to run. They ran 3 times in a row. They ran what I'm going to call a counter trap. So you have the running back in the shotgun to the left of the quarterback, and Will Campbell and Garrett Dellinger pull the defensive end is going to either stay or crash down. So if he stays where he's at, Nuss is going to give the ball off to the running back. In this example, Caleb Jackson. If the DN starts pulling down, you have a tight end that's going in the flat, and Garrett's going to throw it to the tight end. It's a beautiful mix-up. It's a beautiful RPO. Sarkisian runs this shit all the time. Lincoln runs this shit all the time. Well, the DN, Deshaun Womack, which I love, okay, Deshaun Womack played it perfectly because he stayed, because he didn't want the pass to be completed, because the secondary had been giving some stuff up. The running game started going, and then it started going. And then it kept going. And then it kept going. Get used to you seeing Will Campbell and Garrett Dellinger pulling and running this counterplay, because until somebody stops it, they're going to run the shit out of it. And I don't know. I legitimately don't know. And I mean this. I don't know if you can. And what do I mean by stop it? Guys, if they're getting more than 5, 6, 7 yards a carry when they're running this counter and they're running the ball right up somebody's keister, they're going to run the football. And today, I know they were in spiders, but guys, they were getting after it. This wasn't no pity-pat Mickey Mouse bullshit. They were getting after it. Guys, the running game was exceptional. So I thought you saw a lot of competitiveness at DB. Guys, I still got to see you do it at defensive tackle. I do not know, or D-line just in general. I do not know if as the camp goes on, things get better. I don't know that. Because if your O-line is on a different level at the current moment. But I wanted to give them today the benefit of the doubt because they weren't in pads. Then they got to one-on-ones and pass pro. If you don't know what that is, it's when you got 5 linemen versus 5 defensive linemen, and they have 1 rep. They go left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. And they go one-on-one, and the defensive end or defensive player is trying to get to the quarterback. It is a very, very big drill for a defensive player. Very big defensive drill. It's very beneficial for the defensive player to win. It's very hard for offensive linemen to win them. This is how today went. 66 stops 35, 66, meaning Will Campbell and Savion Jones. 66 stops Paris Shan. So 2 reps. Will Campbell, a perennial top 3 pick, doesn't get beat. Very big whoop. Garrett Dellinger against Jacoby and Guillory. Nothing. Stuffed. Didn't get off the line of scrimmage. Second rep, he does a little rip move and then gets washed out. Doesn't even come remotely close to the quarterback. 4-0 if you're the offensive line. You have no pads on. Gio Paez against DJ Chester. DJ Chester wins both reps. No penetration, no push. Do you want me to continue? Sean Washington versus Miles Frazier. Stuffed. Nothing happened on both reps. Deshaun Womack versus Emory Jones. Deshaun Womack almost gets to the quarterback but gets washed out. Stoned on his second rep. 0 pass rush today. 0 penetration today from your D-line. So, in my opinion, day 1, here's how I think it went. I think you had a lot of competitiveness. I think guys really got after it today. Thought it was a high, intense practice. I think you look good. I'm going to be honest. I think you look good. You showed me something today. You showed me that you had fight. And you know what? You got talent with fight. You're going to win football games. Do you need to progress? Yes. That's going to show itself in time. Things can change. Day to day, things can change. But I thought today was the biggest thing when listening to Brian Kelly. You know, Brian Kelly was getting on his coaches. Brian Kelly was getting on his players, screaming at them. We're a family. We're a team. We're a family. We're a team. Screaming at everybody, do your job. Do your job. Do your job. It's interesting. I've never, ever seen Brian Kelly the way he was today, ever. That is something that I know for sure. I don't know if the practices were the most intense. BK sure the shit was. Not remotely close on that one either. I walk out of today in day one worried about your defensive line. And yeah, couple players that I thought stood out to me today. Then I'm going to get to your super chats, thoughts, questions, concerns. The guys that stood out to me today, and in no specific order, I think Kyron Lacey stood out to me. Jelani Watkins stood out to me. Shelton Sampson stood out to me. P.J. Woodland. Ashton Stamps. The entire offensive line. Not one bad snap today from your brand new center, DJ Chester. Not one. John Emery, who caught 3 passes today in 7-on-7. But, man, I mean, you got some talent and you got some speed. By the way, I didn't put this in my notes, but something that I did think was really good. In both team drills, when the first team defense ran off the field, Blake Baker met Major Burns on the field and was telling him how good of a job he was doing. That, yes, you learned it, you got it. That's what we want you to do. You got it. That's what we want you to do every single time. Keep doing that. Major Burns did have, to Blake Baker at least, a decent day. Major Burns was not in. Major was doing his job. Guys, if you're on defense and you're in the secondary and nobody's calling your name at a practice, that means nobody's going in your general direction. And that happened today with Major Burns and Sage Ryan. So maybe both of them. All in all, I thought it was a fantastic day, man. And you could take from it what you will. I think I need to see more from this defensive line. I want to see more of the competitiveness from your secondary. I want to see more. And we'll get this. Creativeness by your defense. I will tell you this too. That Perkins interception was pretty that Perkins interception on Hurley was pretty gnarly. And so was Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson stood out to me too. The safety or star, whatever you want to call it. Stood out to me. Kid came in and, man, they're rolling him in there to play. All right. Send in thoughts, questions, concerns. If you send in a super chat, your question will automatically be read. So if you have a question, you want to fire them in, you can do so, but we'll try to get to as many of them as we can here. Chase on YouTube says, Blake, what group was you most surprised with today? I'd probably say receiver. You know, like, because of the fact that you were going up and making very highly contested you were making highly contested catches. Like, I think of the Trades Green catch in double coverage. I know he's a tight end. That one was sick. Mason Taylor caught a corner route, caught it, got in bounds, and slid in on the sideline. Literally, me and Mike Scarborough were standing right here, and Mason was like at my feet when he was sliding. So, like, kind of just put my hands down and stop. They were just catching unreal stuff. And then Kyron Lacey. Guys, I don't know. I feel like Kyron has taken this offseason pretty seriously. Nobody out there is stopping him. And then CJ Daniels, we had not really seen run with the ones. Okay. CJ Daniels, man, they went to CJ a lot today. I just think, and then Chris Hilton, I mean, Chris, I don't want to say was the odd man out, but was kind of the odd man out in the sense of what we saw from high leverage plays. Like they try to run a screen to him. Ashton Stamps was there. And then, all the stuff with Nuss, I mean, he's only rolling in with Nuss. He's not running with any second team or anything. So, yeah. Our good friend Harry Wilson, Harry72 Wilson, with a $4.99 super chat. First day super chat. You got to love it. You got to absolutely love it. Thank you to Chase and thank you to Harry. Spectrum Wellcare says, what about JVR Suggs? Look, man, I don't he had a batted pass down, but I just thought that the interior of the defensive line, like I thought Paez, there were some times that Paez got a little bit of penetration. That was only due to the fact, though, that you have him crashing down and you have a center that's trying to block down a crashing down defensive tackle because you're running a counter. So he's going to get penetration, but all the center is trying to do is guard him and let the running back run right down his ass. I know you're going to want me to say pause, but run right behind him. Be very tight along the center. And it's not that he's getting penetration. It's that he's getting pinned. So you got Paez and Suggs both doing that. I guess we need to see them more when they get pads on. But I don't think that they had a good day. I think your O-line, we don't. I was asked by Chase just a second ago, who won the day? Shit, I don't know. I say wide receiver, but then I'm thinking about the offensive line. They gave up zero pressure. They ran the ball at will. I mean, I don't know what else to say at that. What do you call perfection? Because that's what today was. That's sure as shit what today was, buddy. So, yeah. Dwayne says O-line is probably one of the best unit in the nation. Yeah, it might be the best unit in the nation. From top to bottom, might be the best unit in the nation. LGZ says that Jelani Watkins is bigger than Xavier Worthy. Let's talk on Jelani Watkins for a second. Yeah, Jelani looked really good. Dude, his speed alone is utterly ridiculous. Like, it's just insane. I mean, you don't guys, I don't give a shit that he's 200 or 165 pounds. I could give a shit. I don't know what they do with him, but here's what I do know. I know that you have 4 older wide receivers that you're trying, even 5 really, older wide receivers that you all think has serious talent that you're trying to rotate in. And Jelani Watkins is the dude that was not a midterm enrollee that has come in and like, hey, bro, they're running in with who? The ones? Shit. Uh-huh. Both big passes or all 3 passes to Jelani, they're just going to have to get timing down with him. Ricky Collins threw a fade route to him, wide ass open. From me to the studio door over here, Jelani had him beat. He had it. Ricky Ricky was sitting there, and then boom. And then all of a sudden, here comes Jelani Watkins, like shot out of a cannon. I mean, and Ricky was like, shit. I mean, I'm 35 yards and I'm throwing it to him. and he's already there. And Sloan even runs over to Ricky and it's like, I get it. We're going to have to work on timing. You just got to put it in there. You might have to overthrow it because he's going to go there and get it. The in route comes behind him, like vastly behind him. It almost gets picked off by Kylan Jackson. That coming from Nuss, but I think that comes from Nuss in the sense of that, hey, man, the dude's wide ass open. If we get timing with him, guys, if Jelani Watkins catches both passes that were intended to him today, they're touchdowns. And then the one in the back of the end zone that was airmailed. So, yeah. All right, some super chats here. Joseph on YouTube says, iron sharpens iron. Just maybe it will help this defensive line. It ain't going to hurt them. Look, and let me say this. In reference to the offensive line for LSU, guys, look at the experience that they have. Will Campbell has started over 20 games. Garrett Dellinger has started over 20 games. Miles Frazier has started over 20 games. Emory Jones has started over 20 games. 20, 40, 60, 80. You have 80 starts along your offensive line. Will Campbell, I mean, you won 10 games. He started every game. He's well over 20 starts. Well over. Garrett Dellinger was starting in 2021. Remember, Garrett Dellinger started at left tackle that game that you played against Texas A&M, and Max Johnson threw it in the back of the end zone to Jeray Jenkins in Ed Orgeron's last game. He started every single game last year and started 10 games the year before. At right guard, Miles Frazier started, every game at FIU? And I think started every game but 2 since he's been at LSU for the last now 3 years. Oh, and then Emory Jones, a lot like Will Campbell. Guys, that's 80 games of experience in the SEC on the O-line is ridiculous. Now, here's what will happen nationally. Nationally, what will happen, and the talking points about LSU is, yeah, they got this going on, that going on, this going on, that going on. Can they fix this? Can they fix this? Can they fix that? Who knows? What they don't lean in on, and which can control football games, if you lean on that offensive line, you're going to patty smack them like your name's Gordon Ramsay. $80 games is a lot. A lot. So, yeah. Penn. Penn Jones sends a $4.99 super chat. Says, Blake, how hard is it really to grade the D line going against the best O-line that they'll see all year? You know, Penn, we've talked about this a lot, and I think it's a very good question. And that question came up all throughout spring. When I get asked that question, especially now, is, well, then does the portal DT miss become bigger? Because it's not like that you could have not gone in there and upgraded. For example, you know, if you go and get some of those DTs that were in the portal in spring, is Caleb Jackson running the ball? Where's my notepad? This is where I got Caleb Jackson at. Second play from scrimmage, 10 yards, or 12 yards, not touched. He runs for 7. Then we have really no runs. Josh Williams on a pass for 19. A John Emery catch. And then we go into the last team, and then shit just gets rolling. Caleb Jackson for 12. Caleb Jackson for 8. Caleb Jackson for 7. Caden Durham for 5. Caden Durham for 7. I mean, that's 5 run plays, guys, and 40 yards. I mean, like, yeah, you're running the ball at a very high clip. At some point, I just start asking, like, hey, man, I mean, they're running it right down your throat. Jordan Allen also, I forgot to write this down because we were walking out when this happened. Jordan Allen, and I don't know why this just hit me. Jordan Allen picked off Garrett Nussmeier as well when we were being walked into the media room. He picked off Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett underthrew Chris Hilton, and it was a contested catch. Chris was trying to come back to the ball, and Jordan Allen stepped in front of it and picked it off and ripped it from Chris Hilton, and it was an interception. I literally thought that Jake Olsen and Blake Baker were going to have aneurysms. I really thought that they were going to have aneurysms. When he picked that ball off, the only reason because we were walking and I'm like watching the play, the only reason I knew that he officially picked it off, like from my vantage point, was because of the fact you could see like Chris Hilton doing this, and all of a sudden Jake Olsen's just starting to sprint, already coming down the field as the play's like evolving, because he knows that bitch is about to get picked off. And Blake Baker runs from the sidelines and they lose it. And then BK starts grinning. So yeah. Stephen Young says those top portal DTs still would not beat our O-line. Yeah, but you're not going for 12 yards before you get touched. Guys, at some point, we got to say, like, guys, you're going to face really good offensive lines in this league. Not that good. What is Garrett Dellinger? What is DJ Chester? Come on now. Come on. Cole Adams says our O-line has a composite of 7,500 snaps to get, or 7,500 snaps. That's ridiculous. Jerry Mitchell says Jawan Johnson will help us this year. That kid can play, man. That kid can play. You hear me? That kid looked good. If you're just talking about pure athleticism, Jawan Johnson looked good. That kid's an athlete, man. I was surprised to see him running with the second team the way that he was, if I'm being honest. I did not see that coming. I did not see that come. I didn't know. I was like when going out there, I was like, shit, Jawan Johnson. I mean, we weren't talking about him. I mean, Jelani Watkins was a lot of the talk during camp. We talked about him a lot on this show. But Jawan was moving, man. I like it. I like it a lot. Mark Allen says, do we have any headhunters? They're not really out there headhunting like that. So I don't know. And you don't have pads on. I don't know. You don't want to knock out your teammate, though. Edits King 21 said, so Caleb Jackson, Caden Durham, and Emory will be the main backs with Josh Williams being here and there. That's what BK said. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you watch his press conference today. We have a lot of the clips on our YouTube channel. But he said that we know that what we're getting from Josh Williams. With that being said, we'll play him here and there, but we're going to keep him upright. We're keeping him ready for the season. He's not going to get that kind of action. He doesn't need the workload. We know what we got. I agree with him. Sit his ass all preseason. You know what they're treating him like, right? They're treating him like an NFL vet. Like, you remember Aaron Rodgers only got like 8 snaps, or 8 snaps last year in the preseason. Why not? Why not? Greg says, will Emory be more of an option running back or more of an up the gut running back? I don't know. I mean, they threw him the ball. Only thing they did with him today is throwing the ball. We posted a clip on our social media of just like a run through. But yeah. Zach Nagy just posted this thing of Caleb Jackson, like before the summer, after the summer workout. Did y'all see that? Our buddy Zach Nagy. Bro, Caleb Jackson is a fucking unit, dude. Golly. Bro, I would just let me say this. Let me say it like this. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if you can't run the ball at will against USC. I will be flabbergasted. And the only way that I can see that happening would be is if USC just sent some like very exotic shit after your ass and you didn't pick it up. Like something's going to have to really go off. Man, I just don't see you not running it down their fucking throat. You're back to being a bully. And listen, you know what? LSU fans, let everybody in the nation say shit. Don't tell them anything about your offensive line and running game being dominant. Oh, what about Jaden Daniels? All right. Okay. I have no fear in the running game. You know, if Jaden Daniels had this version of Caleb Jackson, good googly moogly. Let's see. A couple more here, and then we'll start wrapping it up. Isaiah says, also, any news on Kyle Parker? Kyle got in there today, made a couple catches. I'm going to be honest with you, though. I'm going to be honest. Jelani Watkins and Xavier Thomas got that kind of work. You know, Kyle Parker's like a slot guy, great route runner. The guys that got that action today was Jelani Watkins. A lot of it was Jelani Watkins and Xavier Thomas. Kyle made a couple catches. Yeah, made a couple catches. But Xavier Thomas stood out to me. Xavier Thomas looked good, man. Xavier Thomas looked really good. So did Jelani. Dude, let me say this, man. There's shit. I don't want to say what I really want to say because I don't want to overreact. But we had something 2 weeks ago when we talked about the receiver room. I said that they reloaded, that they're not like rebuilding, they reloaded. That was actually the title of the thing that we posted. I don't know. You got some dudes in that room, man. You got some dudes. I'm just so hesitant to say what I really feel about that wide receiver room because we're replacing Malik and you're replacing Brian Thomas. And for the life of me, I feel like I know better than to overreact when you lose first-round dudes. By the way, here's the truth, too. More interceptions were thrown today than all camp last year that Jaden Daniels threw by all quarterbacks. That is a fact. An outright fact. Jaden did not turn the ball over. That's what made him special, man. That's what made him special. Eric says, how did J.K. Johnson look? He was one of the ones that got mossed by Kyron Lacey in the back of the end zone. Marginal. You know who did make a couple of plays in the running game? or I say the running game, but made a couple of plays. Both times that John Emery caught a pass out of the backfield, all 3 times that went for pretty much no gain, was Jair Brown on the far right boundary or far boundary. Like if you're watching a football game and the offense is driving this way, he's on the far left boundary. Was Jair Brown, and John caught the ball, or John caught the ball, and Jair Brown was like literally broke a receiver tackle and got there and made the play. I thought it was funny when Jair Brown made those plays, the other Ohio State transfer cornerback. The funny thing about that is that Blake Baker started screaming at Joe Sloan, or not Joe Sloan, started screaming at A.J. Swan saying, "Don't get him killed, Swan. Don't get him killed." Then he threw another one to C.J. Daniels over the middle, and he started screaming, "You're getting your guys killed, bro," because safety was right there going to light him up. I don't know if they would have gotten lit up. I don't know if Jair Brown makes that tackle on John Emery. They're not bringing guys to the ground. They were there, but just because you're there doesn't mean you're making the tackle either. Not with this defense. Jeezy says JK was the one that got mossed by Samson twice. Yeah, he also got mossed by Samson twice. Bro, Shelton Sampson, bro. Shit. Shelton Sampson, bro. Y'all better put some respect. Guys, I'm so happy for him. Golly, I'm so happy for him. So many people are like, he's a bust. He didn't play as a freshman. All right. Some bitch goes up, looks like Brian Thomas. God, we forget about how Brian Thomas didn't produce early. God, Brian Thomas did not produce early. Mark Allen says the lemon pepper cup. Yeah, man, my wife got me this cup. I go through a lot of water since being on this diet. I have to. Shelton McBride says Cortez does not get enough credit. He is money in the bank. Dude, I got to admit, if they do what I think that they have the ability to do, if they do like I'm going to say half. If they do 2/3 of what I think that they're gonna do, guys, you're gonna be more than fine. More than fine. I love the I love when I get off of every show. I just scanned at Twitter because it was going off. And literally, I love getting DMs from you on Twitter. It happens every night. We have 30 right now. Of course we do. I'm not answering them. I'm not answering them. All of them about the defensive line. I'm not answering them. Did Caleb really gain 30 pounds of muscle? Bobby Boucher's lawnmower. I doubt 30 pounds of muscle. Maybe 30. Guys, he was 220 last year. If he's 235, that means from January of last year to now, he's gained 15 pounds. Or January of this year to now, he's gained 15 pounds. I mean, I don't know, though. Go look at old boy's trap. Zach, I've tweeted it. Go look at him. Go look at him. I mean, dude's literally going to kill somebody. I mean, guys, I really don't think that you've had a running back like this in a while. Not like this. Not like this. Brandon Reese says Shelton Sampson could end up having a huge season this year. I don't know. Maybe he could. I don't know about huge year because I still think that you got C.J. Daniels and you have Kyron Lacey in the spots that he would be playing in. But going into next year, he could be a premier guy. Yeah, Bobby Boucher's lawnmower. A couple more, then we're getting out of here. Bobby Boucher's lawnmower. Yeah, that sounded like an exaggeration. Guys, it's an exaggeration. You understand what 30 pounds of muscle looks like. Guys, he's 220 last year and he's 215 this year. That's not 30 pounds. My math ain't mathing. He came in at 220 at the beginning of the season last year, and he's 235 now. That's half of what you're saying that he gained. 30 pounds of muscle? Get out of here with that. All right. Woo. Hour and 22-minute show. We finally made it, man. 19 more practices, and we'll be at the game. Let me remind you of this, because we've been doing some stuff behind the scenes. I would highly suggest that you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are going to be posting a lot of practice videos on there. You saw some today. We're going to be getting more as the year goes on. Follow us there. Instagram, AYS_sports, and then AYS Sports on Twitter. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to. We'll be posting them on here as well. It was a great day. A lot of competitiveness. Guys, I'm an hour and 30 minutes in almost. This is what happens when football's back. This is what happens. Guys, today is like a Super Bowl for me. Then game one's like another Super Bowl. Then we go through the entire season. You either get pissed off or you love it. You're pissed off or you love it. And hopefully you love it the whole year. And we get things rolling. We need a big year in football. Big year. We need it. Mark Allen says we need a 3-hour show. If we do a 3-hour show, I need to get more sponsors and we need to make more money. That's all I'm saying. All right. I actually on Monday, Wednesday, and Sundays do a 2-hour show. I go back to back. So you just got to catch the national stuff, and then you got to catch this one for LSU. Till then, my name's Blake Ruffino. This is AYS Sports. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.